Good morning. If you want to see how we made these 3 cutting boards, stay tuned because that's what we're going to do today. Good morning. Welcome to another Memphis Monday 248. I think this is about the 40th week of our year 5. Today we're going to be making some cutting boards. I don't know exactly how many, but our scrap wood supply is, I know just a couple of weeks ago we made a fancy one out of plywood. But this week we're going to use some scrap wood we got from one of those platforms we had underneath our assembly table. I don't exactly know what the plan is, but we can work that out together. So let's knock off the chit-chat and get to work. Seems like we just cleaned this wood box out a few weeks ago. Well, I think it's actually been months ago now. But in cleaning out the wood box, found these big, thick pieces of wood that I was using for legs for one of our platforms. Decided to recycle it. It's nice and dry, but what I really like about it is it's really thick, and it might make some good cutting boards. The wood started out in life as a heavy-duty pallet, apparently to carry something really, really thick and heavy. But it's got notches in it, and it's kind of uneven because it's pallet wood. So I'm going to saw it down to where it's a consistent width and plane it to where everything's the same thickness. Okay, you saw me cutting up those individual strips. What I'm doing now is taking those individual strips of oak and this light mystery wood and gluing it up. I'm gluing it up individually, each individual piece, instead of laying it out and doing it, because the pieces are different thicknesses, so they don't want to lay right. So it's easier just to go ahead and do it this way. And then after we get this glue up done, we'll be sawing everything into 2-inch strips. And then we're going to add another piece of wood, which theoretically will give us kind of not a checkerboard so much as just these light pieces of wood will be framed in oak. There's our first glue up finished. We got another glue up after this one. Let me show you what I'm aiming for. Now here's the scheme. Right now we got the dark thin boards alternating with these lighter thick boards. Now after the glue ups, and this is the way the glue up is right now, then after we get that glued up, then I will cut this into strips like that. And then insert another thick board between each one of these. Another, did I say thick? I meant dark. So the final glue up then will look like this, with the light colored boards here and the dark colored frame in each one of them. Okay, it's the next morning. Glue up is finished. What I did last night is after a couple hours, I went over the boards and scraped off any squeeze out. It's a lot easier when the glue isn't completely dry. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to run these through the belt sander and smooth them out. A little bit of tool time action here. This is my 25-inch belt sander or drum sander, and if you get one of these, you really need to make sure it has dust collection, because if you don't, two things happen. It puts out real fine dust, and it'll just, I mean, the dust is just, it's like fog in your shop if you don't have this. Besides that, the dust falls down inside the mechanism there and clogs everything up. So you really, if you buy one of these, make sure you get some kind of dust collection too. I'm going to check the belts. What I'm checking here, see this right here? Let me make sure the camera's right. See how this belt is loose? When you put these belts on, you'll have them tight, and then after you use the thing a couple of times, they'll loosen up on you a little bit, and that, you can't have that. So it'll wear your belt out like really fast. Now, the beauty of having a belt sander is if all you have is a thickness planer, see these big boards won't go through there. You'd have to have one of those giant industrial thickness planers. But with the belt sander, you can go through a width of 25 inches. I don't claim to be an expert on these things, but I can tell you what I've learned, and that is you can't try to take too much off, just like a planer. You want to, don't try to take too much off. Okay, let's give it a try. This will be the glue side. I'll be cutting this in strips and then flipping it up. So this will be the glue side, but I still want it to be perfectly flat and smooth so that I have real tight joints. So I'm sanding it a little bit. I'm only using 120. Okay, I'm going to cut strips here off, and I want the strips to be the same width as this light colored wood, and that happens to be exactly 2 inches and 1/16. So I've got my saw at 2 inches and 1/16. I'll adjust the blade, and I've checked the width at the forward and aft ends. So my fence is exactly parallel with my blade. My blade is just above the surface here. I'm not using my sled because I want these strips to be exact. So let's give it a try. So I got those strips cut. Now the scam here is I will flip these up so that they're in grain. And then these blocks will go in. I think we're going to try to get two cutting boards out of this. I put these in the clamps. Now I'm going to take them out of the clamps. The glue's not cured yet, but I don't want it to be, because I want to clean up any squeeze out before the glue completely dries. I'll show you what I'm talking about in just a second. I just zoomed in here so you can see what I'm talking about. This board's only been glued up for about an hour, so it's really not ready to be sanded or anything. But I can take the squeeze out off, because if you don't, if you wait until it completely dries, it's very hard to get off. So if you do it now, the glue is very easy to pull off. I don't know if you can see that. So here's another big glob. If I waited till that dries, this Tide Bond 3, well, any wood glue just gets really hard. But if you do it about an hour later, it just comes right off. I think the glue's dry enough on these yet, but I'm going to run them through the planer. This one's only 12 inches wide, so I can use the thickness planer on this one, and it's not, it doesn't rock these things as bad. So now, when you're running end grain through a thickness planer, Main thing you got to remember is you got to take it really, you got to have sharp blades, and I just replaced the blades. And you need to run it through the machine nice and slow and not very aggressively, maybe a 30-second at a time. I got the two small boards sanded up. I don't think they turned out all that special. I'm gonna try to stain one of these. You're not normally supposed to stain cutting boards, but we're not normal. Here's what that Sedona stain looks like. Here's the other one. Here's our first two boards. This is our third one here. It's way too big, and I'm going to try to dress it up a little bit by cutting it into an oval, into an ellipse. So I got this ellipse form here. So I'm going to sand it down and then cut out the ellipse and see if we can save it. Now I have to run it through the router. But the problem is all these little pieces on the ends could get chipped out, so I'll have to be really careful. I want a pretty aggressive round over on this elliptical board, but that's really dangerous with all these little small pieces on the edges. So I've got the router bit really set low, and I'll do it in several passes. I stained that other one Sedona red. I'm going to stain this one Carrington. Well, here are our cutting boards for Memphis Monday 248. Tried using a little stain. What I did is after I stained it, I applied several coats of mineral oil and wiped the boards down until the rag came back clean. so there's no stain on the surface. Okay, I guess that does it for Memphis Monday 248. Well, that does it for Memphis Monday 248, the 40th week of our 5th year. Today we made 3 cutting boards. We tried something different, put a little stain on them. What I did is, after I put the stain on, I had mineral oil behind it and kept wiping it down till my rag came back clean. So there shouldn't be any, all the color is down in the wood. Forgot to give the Nutrisystem report. 190 pounds. I think I've lost about, maybe 30 pounds. I still look fat on the videos, but hey, that's the way it works. Okay, so thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and comment and all the stuff you do on the internet. But most important, make sure you're back here next week for the next exciting Memphis Monday. Thanks for playing along.